Welcome back to Weekly Briefing. We are here with our panel of experts. Joining me in studio, Derrick Hollie, member of Project 21 and president of Reaching America. Chris Farrell, director of investigations at Judicial Watch and author of Exiled Emissary, George Earl III. Dr. Shay Bradley Farrell, president of Counterpoint Institute for Policy, Research, and Education. And Donna Jackson, accountant and director of member development for Project 21. Reports say that 83-year-old Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer will resign this year. Justice Breyer was nominated by Bill Clinton in 1994 and is the oldest sitting member on the court. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says Joe Biden plans to fulfill his promise to nominate a black woman to the court.
Does President Biden plan to honor his pledge to nominate a black woman to the court?
Well, I've commented on this previously. The president has stated and reiterated his commitment to nominating a black woman to the Supreme Court and certainly stands by that.
Derrick, what do you think we have to look forward to in a new Supreme Court justice?
Well, it looks like it's going to be a black woman. Well, and I just hope she's qualified. And they do have a couple of candidates out there that look like they are more than qualified. It's just unfortunate that I don't know if this the current Supreme Court justice, if he was ready to step down. And I think it's just very interesting how the timing of it all, and the Democrats needing something, some type of win. And so all of a sudden you're like, you're going to step down and we're going to replace you. And I don't think it was left up to him to decide what was going to happen.
It's interesting timing. Shay, what do you think about the timing of Breyer stepping down and the decision?
I think it's interesting what Derrick said. I'm not sure that he knew he was stepping down because it says it was announced. It didn't say he announced it. Maybe he will now. But Joe Biden in 2020 said that he was going to appoint a black woman to the Supreme Court. Well, he's going down the tubes right now. We were discussing a little earlier that everything that they're doing is backfiring. His approval rating is in the toilet. So I think that this is another last-ditch effort to try to get his approval ratings back up using gender and race again.
Do you know that his approval rating right now with African Americans is actually at 50%? This is the announcement because black people in North Carolina said that they know that he was using them with his voter ID push for a photo op. And he's lost the support of the African American community who overwhelmingly votes Democrat 85 to 95% of the time. And now he only has almost 50%.
Is this going to help? Is this going to help win it back?
It's not going to, because it's not changing the balance of the Supreme Court. It's the same. Right. It doesn't matter. I mean, to put a symbol up there, we already have a token up there with Kamala, and she's not doing a thing. So what difference is this going to make?
What do you think, Derrick, is it going to win black voters over?
I don't think it's going to win black voters over. And again, as she just talked to us, it's not going to change the balance of the Supreme Court. So it's a big deal. We cannot minimize the fact that there will be a black woman, hopefully, on the Supreme Court. Yeah. But at the same time, it's not going to change the balance of it. And so I don't think it's going to get the traction that they're looking for in the media.
It's not going to be an Amy Coney Barrett or
Kavanaugh kind of hearing at all.
What's outrageous is the leftists are always saying that they're looking out for individual liberties, individual rights, right? Well, they're basing hiring someone on their race and their gender, which is definitely not civil liberties. It's actually against the law.
Right. And it's a kind of...
It's against the law. That's a great point. It is against the law. But what's even crazier about the whole thing is that some people are tossing around Vice President Kamala Harris.
Oh, Lord.
Because we don't have enough incompetence for
That's her. If they just really want to sink their ratings, that's a great way to do it.
Okay.
But Biden is the latest Democrat to fall victim to a hot mic. As reporters peppered him with questions at a White House meeting, he got frustrated and called a Fox reporter a not-so-nice name.
Do you think you play through the political liability?
That's a great asset. More inflation. What a stupid son of a bitch.
Donna, do you think he even understood what was happening? Because that was Peter Doocy from Fox who was basically challenging Biden on the inflation that's taking place.
I don't think he did what he said, an asset. What does that have to do with anything? But what happened to all this wonderful unity that we were going to have? What about this likable old grandfather that was supposed to normalize the American community? It's not doing any of that. His vitriol for anybody who doesn't agree with him was shown right there on that hot mic, and we all know who he is right now.
And he did that when he talked down to a bunch of African Americans. Right when he took over his office, and they show that clip all the time where he said, what we're gonna do to people if they do use bad language, they're gonna be reprimanded, all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
That was in front of a bunch of African Americans, and so he got criticized for that. But here he is right now. Again, the hypocrisy that comes out of this administration is just something that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
Oh, because he was a white nationalist. Remember that. Anybody that doesn't support them is a white heck, I'm a white nationalist.
Yes, Donna is our resident white nationalist here. Chris, what do you make of Biden's hot mic? He seemed to, like I said, I don't think he actually understood the situation of what he was saying, but he also seemed to think that it was like kind of cool and funny, and like he had a cool comment.
Yeah, this is the same guy you'll remember who spends an awful lot of time, nuzzling his nose and head into the hair of women and giving prolonged hugs to people in very inappropriate ways. His judgment on his personal conduct and behavior was flawed decades ago. There's still an outstanding claim of a sexual assault that's unresolved and is kind of hanging out there. We're suing to get the records from the University of Delaware about this sexual complaint or sexual assault complaint that was filed against him. He has really bad judgment. He's a gaffe machine. He for decades, literally, he has spewed out crazy, stupid comments, and this is just another example of it. And it's compounded because he's not all there.
Yeah, he's not. He doesn't seem to actually understand what's taking place in front of him at the time. But a 31-year-old man in Boston is reportedly no longer eligible to receive a heart transplant because he's not vaccinated. His family says he was at the front of the line at a women's hospital to get the surgery, and they say he's fighting for life. He has 2 children with another on the way. Is this type of discrimination even legal? Chris, what do you think?
It's unlawful on a number of different fronts, and it's just a policy thing. This is not a law in any way, shape, or form. This is the position of the hospital that some hospital administrators decided to impose. And here's what needs to happen. Everybody who's heard of the story and is disturbed by it needs to communicate with the board of governors or the directors, whatever the official oversight body is for the control and administration of the hospital, needs to communicate with them and make it loud and clear that what they're doing is killing someone, and that's not the mission of the hospital. And all pressure should be applied to the board of governors or board of directors, whatever that entity is. You can find it online. This is not tough to figure out. And they need to be peppered and be forcefully, politely but forcefully told, this is unacceptable. You can't kill a man because he doesn't buy into the vaccine thing, which is questionable to begin with.
Dr. Shea, what do you think about choosing life or death for someone just because they don't want to get vaccinated or have serious medical conditions and have made a medical decision to not get vaccinated?
Well, actually, you brought up a point. A doctor friend of mine who is very well known on the COVID issue as well says that it can actually inflame a person's heart, the vaccines. So it could be dangerous for this guy. But in the extreme, vaccines are not proven to keep you from getting COVID or from transmitting it. So this is another case of where they have put the overall well-being of a human being underneath the obsessive drive for vaccines. We see that with masking children. Some parents believe that it's bad for their children because children look at each other and at adults to see the expressions on their face to develop. We've seen suicide rates go up, divorce rates, all kinds of different things go up that are not helping the overall well-being of our citizens.
Right. Very interesting. Well, when we come back from the break, we'll talk about Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson's COVID panel and Democrats refusing to give up on masking children. We'll be right back.